likes tea.
Want something to drink? You have pictures of me. I don't need any more.
Mary's got my birthday already.
Oh my goodness, it's Christmas. Let's be solid, everybody. Oh? Are you talking? Huh? Huh? Wait, now I'll let you go. We have to get this on tape. Bill. Picture of me telling you to take yours. Bill.
That's right, Jessica. Ham it up.
Oh, oh. Oh, baby. Oh, you didn't hurt yourself. That's one of them up against the wall here. Stand in front of that. Okay. Stand right in front of them. She looks like she has a good seat right here. Pretty picture. Here. Who's that?
I'm trying to see if my Aunt Florence in the leopard.
Chris, can you talk to one of the lights? That you and somebody, are you doing okay? He's videoing. How's this will be?
How are you? Nice to see you.
Hi, Dad.
He's getting everything for you. We're not ready to fight.
That baby really got beautiful, Tammy. Baby. It's always nice to have a record.
Yes.
You want your New York strip club? Your jam. And what's
Hi.
Hi, how are you all tonight? How did you all have a meet? You learn
Thank you. hot dog and then
South Carolina, that's right.
Big shot. I'm going to take something too, okay?
Hello.
The whole damn for her family. She never complained about all the work she done for anybody who was in need. She had a lot of love and devotion for all of them and for me. And she always was ready to serve anybody who was sick or was in need of anything. She's been the bulwark of this whole family, this whole clan. Because whatever she did for the good of everybody, without asking for any recompense. I love her very much, and I hope she lives to be a long, long time. God bless.
She's going to continue to serve coffee, and if you have wine that you haven't weeks ago, and I learned some things that I didn't know, and some of you, brothers and sisters, but my own brothers and sisters, I think some of you know.
to come out.
And you're all going to get your chance, so.
Was I adopted?
Bound to come out.
It's bound to come out.
And I'm a little nervous, so.
Don't forget the family. Get these, get these.
70 years ago, Rosalie Anna was the first child born to Antonio and Vita Gentilcore in Foggia, Italy on February 28, 1921.
Of course, we'll see.
Soon after, Grandpa came to America to live in Washington, D.C. at 3rd and F Streets with his sisters Philomena and Grace. He worked in their grocery store and sent money to Grandma and dresses for little Rosalie. When Rosalie was 16 months old, Grandma came over with a group of others who would all settle in Washington to take a test to be a stonemason. Over the next several years, Rosalie got 3 brothers and 3 sisters, up next to their cousins, the D'Agostinos, and their German neighbors, the Millers. Mom said there were 20 kids between the 3 houses. Mom remembers having scarlet fever when she was little. There was a pink quarantine sign on the house, and the Chestnut Farms milkman delivered milk to the house. She was in a bedroom by herself, and so was Aunt Mary. Mom said Grandpa was strict with her as she was a teenager. She remembers being asked to the prom and not being allowed to go. When Mom was 15, she worked in a pants factory with her cousin Rosalie for 3 days until the manager found out she was only 15. Eventually, she went on to work in the alterations department at Hecht's, and then Cans, and finally Raleigh. 75 years ago, Daddy was the second born to Philip and Maria Falcone, also of Foggia, Italy, on April 10, 1916. Grandpa was a well-respected barber in the town. Daddy wanted to make sure you all knew that Grandpa designed his own own barber chair. Daddy went to school through the 5th grade in Italy and then became a member of Mussolini's Balliglia. Did I say that right, Daddy? Balliglia. This was sort of like the Boy Scouts. He ended high school in just 6 years, boys and girls. And he graduated even without having to take his final exam.
And they said it couldn't be done, huh?
While he was attending Essex Junior College, he was a caddy on the weekends at the golf range across the street from the Big Bear department store. There he met someone who helped him get a part-time job at Kinney Shoes.
That's right.
Whenever he had to fill in for the manager, he did well, and soon they asked him if he wanted to work in Washington, walk over to Grandma's and go to church with Mom. He always brought Grandma a box of Whitman sampler chocolate.
I never got any.
She didn't pass it around.
After church, they would go back to Grandma's, and Grandma would fix them a nice meal, and then they usually went to the movies. He would take the train back to New York after midnight and wait until breakfast was served Monday morning at the train station. He liked their hotcakes, too.
Blue light special.
Then he'd take the Greyhound bus to Staten Island and arrive in time to open the store. And this went on for some time. Ain't love grand? At just about the time he asked for a transfer back to Washington, Daddy was drafted. Just before leaving, Mom and Dad got engaged. Mom remembers it was December 6th, but she doesn't remember who asked who.
Yeah, we did know it all. I think it was my father.
Hey, you're going to pull that off.
Daddy was inducted in Virginia and went through basic training in Utah. They were in need of medics, so they sent him to a hospital in Missouri for medical training. Then he was off to Ohio. He was able to come home before going overseas, and they were married on June 6th. Soon after, Daddy was sent to North Africa for 6 months, where he remembers 2 in a pup tent with mud and lizards. He spent the next 2 years in Italy. One time when things were slow, he asked for a 3-day pass to visit his relatives. He took his major and several buddies with him. Daddy remembers lots of deep snow. His major was impressed that Daddy was able to greet all the people in town by name. He couldn't get over the meals that Mrs. Marino prepared. All the relatives and prominent people in town were proud of Daddy, and he and his friends were invited into their homes to be wined and dined. The major was having such a good time, he extended the pass to a 6-day pass.
You wanted back to leave.
Just got an extension.
When they returned, the major told Daddy he could take the Jeep, the one with the star on it,
Take him back.
anytime he wanted, as long as he could come along.
Right.
I mean, I got a good meal.
Daddy was able to come home, and while he was there, they announced that the war was over. For a while, Mom and Dad lived at Grandma's. Daddy worked with his cousin Vince Policelli at Central Valet and earned enough money to rent an apartment on H Street.
North Carolina.
Meanwhile, Mom was still working in alterations at Raleigh's, but she had several miscarriages, so the doctor told her to stop working and rest.